This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it out here. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
And we are still not tired on episode number 21 of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Jerome Churko, and hey, Doc, he's alongside me as usual, my sidekick partner in crime from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. But John wanted to say we can now drink officially, right, with this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres.
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Cheers, brother. 21 straight weeks doing this podcast with you. Always enjoy our weekend conversations. Always get a chance to recap the things that you do where you don't invite me, and it's always fun to have a conversation. Plus, last weekend, you were able to do something that you had never done before. And as part of this project, what's fun is that we have the opportunity to do things that other people don't get to do. So for you and Adam to go out to Novi to cover the 2017 Motor City Comic-Con was awesome to see. And your coverage was amazing. Your article that you did was really heartfelt. And it was really neat that you were a fan of Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. And you got a chance to go up there and cover it. So set the scene. What was it like when you first walked in? Because it seemed like from your article that you were genuinely surprised and kind of shocked at the visuals of seeing people kind of dressed fully in costume and the level of detail that some fans of comic books do take to put together these outfits to go out to a public event.
Well, elaborately designed costumes with a cast of characters that were there walking around all throughout the day on Saturday in Novi for the Motor City Comic-Con, as you said yourself, Doc. And Adam and I had a great time, but we were people watching too. It was people watching at its finest. And I was awed. I really was awed, but also awe-inspired by the looks of these individuals in costume and the impeccable design of their costumes and garb and what they were willing to wear, brave enough to wear when you know people are looking at you. And I know these people want the eyeballs themselves, want them to see their costumes and to ask questions, as Adam and I, we gladly did. I mean, we were willing to, we wanted to, and we did with these guys, males and females, dressed up to the nine. I mean, like to the highest level possible, where you couldn't find a flaw in their costumes. And you saw every single kind of character, right? In terms of superhero character that was on display over the weekend, such as Batman, more than a few Batmans, more than a few Negans from The Walking Dead. I think Negan really emerged onto the scene at this year's Motor City Comic-Con. And I can't compare it to any other experiences at the Comic-Con, the Motor City Comic-Con that is. But I think Negan, man, stole the show for the men in terms of what men wore the most. It was dressing up as Negan. And I think what females dressed up as the most was Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. So think about it. Those were two of the biggest ones, and you still had all the popular characters on display, such as Spider-Man, Thor, who's more and more popular, I know now, Captain America. So we interviewed the Avengers. Adam and I had the great opportunity to interview the Avengers. It was just so cool seeing these people once again dressed up in their garb to the fullest and like living out their childhood dreams of being a superhero and of being their favorite superhero. And these people had no shame whatsoever. As I wrote about in my article for the Detroit Sports Podcast, these people weren't embarrassed. They loved every single moment of it. They were living it up. And it was just so great to see, and especially the children, dressed up and loving every moment of it. To see them living out their dreams of meeting their favorite superheroes. And them, some of them, they're so young and innocent, they didn't realize that these really aren't real, superheroes. These are just human beings dressed up as their favorite superhero or superheroes. But still, to see the joy exuded from their faces. I mean, when they saw these people walking throughout the convention center, it was tremendous to see. A highlight of my experience at this year's Motor City Comic-Con, along with finally getting the chance to meet one of my favorite stars, earthly stars of all time, in the Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, who I loved watching. You know, I didn't watch him in The Incredible Hulk. That was from 77 to 82. I wasn't around back then. I'm only 23. Almost 24 now, by the way. So almost a birthday shout out that you can give to me, Doc. I think I would invite you to that. I know you don't get many invites, and we're about to seg into the segment where we talk about stuff that I did that Doc wasn't at. Because we have pretty much, we could do a weekly segment on that. Stuff that Vito did that Doc wasn't invited to. We almost have to talk about it on a weekly basis, and we'll get into that in a little bit here.
But Vito...
But regarding Lou Ferrigno really quick, too, once again, I watched him more in The King of Queens. As himself, as Lou Ferrigno. And then on Celebrity Apprentice is when I really watched him in full bloom as himself and showing off his true emotions. And what an emotional guy he was at times in Celebrity Apprentice. No offense to him, to this great bodybuilder from years past, who's still in tremendous shape. I would say in pristine physical shape, Doc.
So if you were to don an outfit and you were to create something that people would like and enjoy, or something that you would feel comfortable walking 12 hours in Novi, what would you dress up as? What kind of caught your attention? Or what maybe next year, maybe on a Friday, what we'll do is we'll cover it Saturday, but on Friday we'll just go take a camera crew, and follow you as you don an outfit, and we'll make some news. What can we get you to wear? Dressed
up as a Hulk. Come on, my icon Lou Ferrigno was the Hulk, a great Hulk. Why can't I do it? He said I can bodybuild. Did you hear him? Did you listen to the interview? I hope you guys did. You out there listening to this very episode of Two Bad Hombres. But I had the chance to actually interview Lou Ferrigno as well. And by the way, when I was standing up with my mic, he was sitting down at the booth, and we were still at the same height. How crazy is that? He's a 6'5" guy who is 250 plus, but once again, like no fat, no body fat. I mean, this guy is like all muscle. Still at 65, he could beat you and I up and beat us up in probably less than a minute. It'd be that easy for him. And I know I'm under 5 feet tall. It's like nothing trying to take down me, but you and I combined even, and you're not a huge guy. No, everybody knows that knows you, but still, it's the point that this guy that's 65 years old could take us out and take us out easily still.
So all in all, it was fun. You dress up as the Hulk. What would you do? Like, you just would, when the people are walking around, they just kind of walk the showcase and see what's going on in their outfits and talk to people that approach them and interact with them as the people in the characters. So they take photos, they go around, get interviewed, snap photos from the people, from journalists and newspapers and things like that.
I think they're waiting to be interviewed. I mean, they're dressing up the part of their favorite character and or superhero of all time because of the fact they want to receive the attention. They want the public eye to be all over them. And they're receiving it every step of the way when they're at the Motor City Comic-Con. Let me tell you, because journalists are looking to take photos of them and maybe write stories on them, or at least to interview them, to feature them in their stories. And we had some great interviews as I took on the people of the Motor City Comic Con. I saw a buddy of mine from Detroit, Mercy, who studied communication studies as well. And it was great catching up with him. I hadn't seen him since college, and he graduated a year before me. So I hadn't seen him since then, which was 2014. Got the chance to see him at this Comic Con over the weekend as well, and last weekend now. So it was great catching up. Great seeing the Avengers in action. Who else did I talk to? Also talked to some fine-looking Halo characters who I didn't know were Halo characters at first. That tells you about my knowledge of video games and characters from video games, because I'm not heavy-duty into video games, at least any longer. Because I used to be heavy-duty into Madden, would play with the franchise of mine that, man, I would dedicate my time to, trust me, almost on a daily basis. Seriously, that's how dedicated I was to playing Madden and with my franchise in Madden. And I would even go as far as pre-ordering every single year's version of Madden. That's how crazy I was into that and into sports video games in general. Because I loved playing MLB The Show, playing NBA 2K this or that, NBA Live. I loved all these different video games throughout the years. But I've been out of the video game for so long now, it's like foreign to me. Even Halo characters, which I should have known by just looking at them, that they were Halo characters. So that was my biggest, coming to Jesus moment, was realizing these are Halo characters and I've played this game. But it has been so long for me since I last picked up a controller and played Halo. I don't know if you're a big Halo fan or would have known that they were Halo characters, but I didn't whatsoever when I saw them.
No, I have no idea. I'm not into it really that much. I'm not really a Motor City Comic-Con kind of guy. That's why I was looking forward to your coverage, kind of learned a little bit about the history and about why people do dress up in these costumes and the such. And so it was great coverage by you and Adam. You can check it out at DetroitSportsPodcast.com, and hopefully years to come, that this can be something that you and Adam, and maybe I'll go check out in the upcoming years as well. But I think it was fun. It's nice to see you guys with the microphone, and it was cool. So how was it for you to go and gather these interviews? Did you just go up there and ask, or take me behind the scenes a little bit? How did you and Adam coordinate to get these interviews with the Avengers and Lou Ferrigno and things like that?
I pointed at the person and I said, I want you. Or maybe I had it. Yeah, I asked them straight up, hey, what do I have to do to be able to interview you? What do I have to do? What do I have to pay you? No funny business.
Nice.
Very nice, right? I love the drops. Once again, the doc, always great with the drops here on Two Bad Hombres. But to answer your question, I had to talk to a member of the agency that organizes the Motor City Comic Con. They are responsible for handling all interview requests. So I went up to a lady, Allison, from the CKC agency, I believe is the title of that agency.
Might be time to, have some sex.
I didn't have to go that far with anybody. Luckily, I didn't have to go that far with anybody to land an interview. Okay, so I'm glad to say that. Keeping my journalism credibility here, right, at an all-time high. I talked to, the lady's name, Allison, and I just asked her, hey, can I talk to Lou Ferrigno? She said, here's the process. When it's busy with the people wanting to get autographs, going up to him and paying. By the way, you had to pay like $20, maybe $40 to get an autograph signed and take a photo with these guys, including Lou Ferrigno. So it wasn't cheap totally. But these people living out their lifelong dreams, right, to meet a guy like Lou Ferrigno, even a dream of mine. One of the guys I've wanted to meet and wanted to meet for sure at this year's Motor City Comic Con. My first, as I swiped my V card at this year's Motor City Comic Con. But what was that? I'm trying to figure out what the heck. What does that pertain to? I'm trying to figure it all out right now. But
it sounded like you were excited.
I was very excited, baby. All revved up. What was that again? I don't get it. What's happening? But I was all revved up, to say the least, to meet Lou Ferrigno. But there was a process asking a PR lady from this agency that organized the event, and you couldn't just go up to him, with that being said. And also meaning that, well, if they were busy with a long line of guests that wanted to meet them, shake their hand, get a photo, get an autograph, you had to wait. And really, Adam and I, we waited until the very end of our stay last Saturday at the Comic-Con to be able to interview Mr. Lou Ferrigno. So it took a while, but guess what? It was worth the entire process.
Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time. It sounded like you and Adam, and from the coverage, were having a good time. And for you, being it was the first time now, was there anything that you would do differently, or something that you'll look forward to next year? Maybe actually just going as a fan, and maybe, is there somebody that you would actually pay $50 for an autograph to go see at a Comic-Con?
Well, my adjustment that I would make is being at a booth myself and getting paid $50 for me to sign an autograph of my own for that person that comes up and pays the $50. Would love that to happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
I don't know if you walked around, but there are other podcasts that were there broadcasting. Next time, maybe go hop on one of their shows, or maybe we'll set up a table and we'll have you broadcast with Adam, and we'll have a good time with it.
Big Vito and Adam Strozinski, how fine would that be? It would be a dandy podcast.
Adam and Vito show, and we'll put a big, huge banner. We'll create one for you guys.
Well, how about this banner right here in our studio? Why not use that, pull it out, right? Take it on the road, and take our acts on the road, as we did kind of. Well, but it'd be great to do a live podcast.
The question I have to ask is, can you last more than 14 minutes?
I can, which is a good thing, isn't it?
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. In many aspects of life that we won't delve into too much here on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres, at least.
I'm referencing the fact that you gathered about 14 minutes of audio for the content. So
I thought you were in the gutter, and I guess my mind went into the gutter instead. But anyways, it was well worth the experience. And I wanted to ask you, should I dress up as the Hulk or as Pikachu? I would look pretty cute in a Pikachu outfit, and would make myself look a lot younger. I know that much.
Okay, next year, it's simple. Around the time, this is what we'll do. We'll have you dress up. We'll do a poll. We'll just
do a poll question and see what the people want to see me dressed up as, right?
Because you want to give the people what they want.
They always want me dressed up as something. Is that weird? Probably is, but they want me dressed up as something. And, I'm willing to do it. Am I stupid for that? Probably, but I am for the sake of the coverage on this very podcast network.
So after you had fun covering Motor City Comic Con, I assume it was the weekend of Nick's birthday. And so I was kind of curious. I was like, okay, maybe Vito will extend an invite if they're going to the bar. Being that I did set you up with the credential, it was me, the doc, that set up the contacts. But you went out for Nick's birthday, again, without an invite for the doc. It's okay, but Describe the scene. How was it? Did you guys have a good time? Where did you guys end up going?
Well, it was great you weren't there. I'll just say that much to start off. Nick's birthday, we went to Rochester, Main Street Billiards. A bunch of billiards were being played. We didn't get to one until actually, we didn't even get to one. We played ping pong. There was a ping pong table or two of them there, to be exact. We played ping pong at the very end, and I briefly excelled at ping pong. I can do pretty well. You should see my ping pong skills. They're pretty darn good. So, some drinking involved, some talking, some laughing, and some playing of ping pong for Nick's birthday last Saturday night. And he turned, what age did he turn, Doc?
22.
24. He wasn't feeling 22 or 23. He was feeling 24. Now, the year for him of Kobe Bryant, Mr. 2-4, the Black Mamba, right? So he lived it up. We had a great time. And, I'm not used to frequenting Rochester bars or clubs. So it was a new bar for me. I don't think I had been there before. I probably should just know if I had been there or not in the past. But I'm pretty darn sure, like 99.5% sure, that I haven't been there in the past at Main Street Billiards in Rochester.
Okay, I don't think I've ever been there as well. So what was it like? It's
the atmosphere, it's full of billiard tables or pool tables, of 2 ping pong tables, enough ladies there to keep your attention, to keep you occupied, enough dancing. There is a floor for dancing, and I actually ended up running in with a few people of my brother's age that were there. Just 21, just barely legal, or old enough, that is, to be in a bar, such as Main Street Billiards. So, it was kind of nice catching up with them. Always good seeing my buddy Nick, my best friend Nick, who gets a lot of plugs on this podcast. And does he even donate anything to our podcast? I don't think so. Maybe he should get on that, but probably won't. I'll just say that much. He probably won't be willing to, because that's just how Nick is.
Does Nick have a girlfriend?
He doesn't yet. He's played the field a little bit, but a very good guy. Still, with that being said, doesn't wrong anybody. Hasn't ever wronged me. Always loyal to me. I'm loyal to him. Probably loyal to him to a fault.
So, as a friend, did you hook up with any female friends, or did
hook up? What do you mean by hook up? Can you elaborate on that, please, Doc?
Okay. More importantly, when you show up to a birthday event, I'm certain he's excited to see you. Always, you're his buddy, you're his boy, longtime friend, lots of laughs, lots of history. But you up your game when you roll up there with 2 or 3 female friends.
Oh, he knows that's not happening anyway, so he's not expecting it.
What do you mean? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I hang out with the female friends behind closed doors, maybe, Doc. I'm not going to bring them out with me. They're not meant for that purpose.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They might be meant for that. I don't know what you're trying to convey to me with that. I have no idea. Trust me. My virgin ears don't have any idea what you're talking about with that. But Nick would have loved that. If I were ever able to pull up to an event featuring him with a pack of girls, even 2 of them, one on each side of me, he would be so surprised. Really, he would be, though.
That'd be awesome. I think that's a goal for you, is to develop friendships that he doesn't know about. Or you could pass out your card at the Motor City Comic Con and get some numbers, get some digits. And when you're having, a fun night out, you just call up some people and say, hey, we're going to Main Street Billiards. Roll up there.
Yeah, and I would enjoy you being there and maybe being somewhere else later.
Exactly.
Tonight as well. With
exactly.
Me, and with me only.
You and Nick can carry out the plan that we discussed 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, hey, it could lead to something nice, for me at least. Probably not for the birthday boy. Well, I guess maybe he could be entertained as well, right?
What was your drink of the evening? What were you guys throwing down?
Coronas. I love Coronas. Any kind of Mexican cerveza. I love Modelos. I love Coronas with the lime. Have to have the lime in it. Now, I don't know about you. Are you a lime and Corona or Modelo guy?
Yeah, I'm a double lime. In the glass bottle?
Double lime? How do you fit 2 limes in there? You find a way to fit it all in, huh?
No doubt
wink,
about
wink.
it. So I just ask for 2 limes, stick one in, twist it, stick the other one in there. Double lime action.
Sometimes it takes some twisting, too.
Yeah, sometimes, Vito, it's all good. So you had a good time?
We did. It was a very nice night out. Nick's cousin was there, and her boyfriend, I guess you can say their boyfriend and girlfriend. So
wait, he's got a female cousin?
Female cousin who's with somebody else, who I like as a friend, Stephanie Smigiel. I just gave her a shout out. I don't know how this happened, but giving her a shout out too. I give a shout out to all these Smigiels that never even listened, but never even listened to us talking right now.
Did you ever tell Stephanie that you had a crush on her, like you told me?
Oh, I don't have a. Hey, I've only had a crush on 2 people, on you and on Nick.
Okay, that's it.
No, and I'm on my mom a little bit too growing up. Is that weird? No, I'm joking. We've gone really weird here, haven't we?
We got a lot of work to do with you, Vito.
First I need some work done on me, or just some help here and there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that a goal for you in 2018 will be to modify your bravado a little bit, up your game, and roll up into any evening event with some female friends and have a good time. You have to develop friendships first, Vito.
How many times did you do that before your wife, before Andrea?
74.
Say it again?
I had 74 friends before.
So how do you know? Wow, that number just came to your head?
I don't know. It's just a number maybe that I was counting or keeping track of.
Oh, because you kept track for a long, long time, didn't you?
They were all friends. 74
all friends. Good friends.
74.
You guys studied scripture together, talked history together a lot.
Let me tell you something. If there is a group of people that you want to maybe get to know, is females that are into psychology. Because they might be into some things that are, and as a young man, that will revolutionize your thinking.
Yeah. Help you learn some stuff early on as a man, huh?
No doubt about it. It was fun. So I got into a lot of group study and a lot of group action. So
group action, group studying, a lot of group studying.
A lot of group activities.
With the clothes on all the time, I know.
With the clothes on, no doubt about it. So I had 74 friends. So that's what I think you have to regroup as a young man, in that you can't just be like, hey, I want to get your number. Let's go on a date. No, you got to sit there and you got to kind of go to book clubs. You got to go to
book clubs. Now, you frequented book clubs. John Macaroon frequented book clubs.
Book clubs, wine tasting.
Wine tasting. I'm not going anywhere close to a wine tasting event.
No,
I don't like wine. I'm not doing that.
No,
I'll go to a book club and sneak in and act like I know something about the book that they're talking about.
Book club, wine tasting, painting with a twist, art galleries.
No.
I'll
do the book club.
As a youngster, I went everywhere that females went. That's where I went.
Wherever they were, you were tracking them down.
And that's where I was.
And not creepily. Not creep.
No,
not being a creep. No, not you.
No, not at all. I had the gift of gab, and it was a fun time when I was a youngster, let me tell you.
You had a lot of fun times. Now, you said that's a goal of mine, should be a goal of mine for 2018. Did you mistakenly speak there? Shouldn't it be a goal for this year?
No,
How about this year? This year's a loss? The lost year?
It's a lost year. First
really?
of all,
Already lost? What? It's not even my birthday yet, and it's a lost year, really?
It's a lost year because you're now revealing some things that we have to start as a baseline. So what we got to do is we got to keep talking, keep recording the podcast so I learn a little bit more about you. And so far, what I've learned is you're a little bit reserved and maybe you're a little bit too PC. And women like a guy with an edge. And so now now you see me as a mid-30s guy. But when I was 20, it was like, hey, want to come over to my house? There's nobody there.
I don't see you swinging and
no, you don't
dealing like that, no.
I was a player, Vito, when I was younger. I had longer hair.
Is this you just telling this to me, saying this to me to feel good about yourself right now? To stroke your own ego?
Am I exaggerating? Probably. But
probably a lot, right?
Listen, why let the truth get in the way of a good story, right? No, but the first thing is you got to do is, in all sincerity, you got to have more friends that are female. That's what you got to do. You got to develop friendships. It actually makes you more well-rounded. I did enjoy the company of women when I was younger, so I would hang out, have some wine, have some cocktails, and spend some time just chit-chatting. It was nice. It was
where
fun.
It goes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I just wanted to have female friends. That's all, and it was cool.
Did you have guy friends back then? Or?
No.
Well, anyway, that might be, never mind. Never mind. Go on, Doc.
No friends that were guys. Why in college? What was that?
Were you a sports dude? Aren't you a sports dude, though?
Now I am.
So wait, time out. What were you in college? What kind of a dude were you?
Ladies' man.
But ladies, men make time for guy friends, too. You know that, right?
Maybe you know what? Maybe I was just the perceived gay friend that they thought maybe I was gay, and
then they found out you weren't gay.
They found out I wasn't, and then
the hard way.
Then they were like, and they were like, we can't hang out no more. That's why I don't have.
Yeah, they learned the hard way. I'm out.
See, Mr. Journalist, you didn't ask the pertinent question. How many female friends do I have now? One.
You better say one, right? Because if Andrea's listening to this,
one. I did not maintain a contact with any of them.
You cut the cord with everybody else because you're a smart man.
I'm a smart man.
Yeah.
So all kidding aside, though, no, you had a good time with the weekend, and Nick had a good birthday, big 24, and no, it's good that you have friends and you get a chance to go out there to Rochester. Any place else you liked? Why did you guys choose that place? Why did you guys go there?
You know what? The reason why, actually, is because he had a cousin from Florida come in for a reception for her wedding. Now, she didn't renew her vows, but they wanted to have a Michigan reception as well, and she wanted to go to Rochester. So Main Street Billiards was chosen. It was a good time. I like Royal Oak still more. If I have to go to a bar or club, I'm going to go to Royal Oak, my home territory, as I like to call it, because I used to live in Berkeley, which borders Royal Oak. So downtown Royal Oak is a lot of fun. You got Company 512 and Top Cat Sales there, by the way, too, in downtown Royal Oak, 512 North Main Street. But when you go the other way, you've got all these bar establishments or, clubby places. Fifth Avenue, Blackfin Ameripub, which I love. There's one at Partridge Creek right now, too, that you should check out. Good food as well. You wouldn't even know it because I always go when I'm just drinking. I'm not trying to get any food. Trust me. Could care less about that. But there's a Blackfin at Partridge Creek, which isn't too far from you. Right, Doc, as well? You've been to Partridge Creek. I love it there during the summer on a nice summer day. I mean, you can go walk around there. That's where you can meet some females, at the mall. At church, maybe through a book club, right? Or maybe at a mall. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll just be my day. One day this summer or in the near future where I meet somebody there at Partridge Creek Mall.
Okay, no doubt about it. I think, you got to get with your friend Nick and be like, look, it's been a long time. It's been 24 years myself. You got to hook me up with a friend, a relative, anybody at all, just to kind of have a good time and be a friend with.
You're right. It is my Kobe Bryant, 24-year as well, in my
what do you want to do for your birthday
life.
This year? What do you want to do for your birthday this year?
Well, I'm going to make sure you're not invited. That's my first thing I got to make sure of, because then we can talk about a thing that I did that you weren't invited to, a lovely new segment that we've sparked here. I think it's going to be a big-time winner for everybody listening, too. But for something that I really want to do for my birthday, probably going to Royal Oak, to Blackfin, Ameripub, to Fifth Avenue. Maybe we'll venture there. We always end up at this Fifth Avenue. On the second floor, it's where the club is, the nightclub is, where all the dancing is, where all the meeting of ladies is. It could be fun up there. A lot of dancing. I get into some dancing here and there. I've got some moves, like Mick Jagger, a little bit here and there. I would like to tell myself, and I do tell myself at least.
Now, here's a line.
I don't know how good you would think they are if you saw them.
Now, you're not going to learn a lot from me in terms of now because I've retired my game.
Which was really non-existent for a long, long time anyways. But yeah,
I might have to recall the stories and put it in a book, but here's a couple words you might want to use when you're starting to introduce yourself to the young ladies.
I'm really rich, and I made a lot of money in Atlantic City, and I'm very proud of it.
Keep repeating those lines right there, those 3 or 4 words.
Yep. That will probably help you along the way. That'll take you farther than your appearance, your communication. That'll get you in the door with a lot of conversations.
Time out. Can my appearance, physical appearance, and my communication ability get me somewhere too with the ladies?
Nope.
No, not at all? No hope for me?
I think that...
For my looks? For my talking ability?
I think that if you were to save up $1,000 and just happen to pull it out talking to a female, her eyes might just start blinking real fast.
Fluttering really quick.
And she might be like, oh, Vito.
Wow, now I like you all of a sudden.
Come buy me a cocktail. And that's how you get...
Yeah, and then I get used by her and burnt. I've had that, by the way. I should tell you this little story right now.
Wait, hold on.
I had girls that took me for all my... Not really, but they took me for drinks, and they didn't want anything to do with me, trust me. Go on.
It's better to have been loved and used than to never have been loved at all, right? Profound.
Wow, great logic there.
Profound, right?
Words to live by from
Words
the doc?
to live by.
From the professional psychologist. We know we have to trust those words then.
Hey, if you're going to be used, you still have the memories, and you might have a cell phone video. You never know.
Yeah, that goes viral, and for the wrong reason, right?
Hey, you never know. You just got to ask permission and tell the story. So what happened? Someone used you for money, or just kind of was a gold digger?
She was a gold digger.
Well,
had a kid. One of them it was a couple of girls, 2 friends. They came up to Nick and to I on my birthday like 3 summers ago, maybe now, when I was in college still, living in Berkeley, Michigan. And these girls wanted to get some drinks from me, and they were conversing with me, seeming interested in me and my buddy Nick. It's always Nick, right? Throwing him under the bus here a little bit. Not really, though. Mm-hmm. But anyways, probably throwing myself under the bus because they took me for the drinks and didn't want anything to do with me afterwards. And they took some funny pictures with me, and they made me think, oh, I like Vito. I like what he's about. I kind of knew, though, going into it. I was kind of wise enough to realize these girls don't want anything to do with me besides for getting drinks out of me. So they got like 1 drink, and that was it. Nick, I think, paid for more than 1 drink. Like 2 or 3. So Nick got used and abused more than I did that night.
Yeah, see, now...
Sorry, Nick. Sorry.
Well, everybody's been through that, but you learned your lesson. And so how did you start to realize that this wasn't going to go anywhere?
I could just tell. Vito could just tell, okay, how they were talking to me. And it was all funny conversation. They were nice with me. But then, well, guess what? I mean, I don't know if this indicates it to other men, but I saw them talking to other guys too. And it looked like, and actually I can confirm at least one other instance that night where they got drinks out of a guy and not me. They were looking to get drinks out of any guy they were able to find at that bar that given night that was willing to pony up and pay for them, for their drinks. That's all they were in for. They were in it for the money and in it for the drinks specifically. They could have cared less about what I was all about and what I did or who I was. They could have cared less about this Detroit Sports Podcast Network host. Let me tell you that much that night. And it's sad but true. Guys have to experience it, I think, at times to realize it, or you just know it like I kind of did. That night, a few June 9ths ago. As June 9th is my birthday, by the way, just to throw that in there a little bit. So we're almost there, the June 9th. So Nick's birthday, May 20th, my birthday, June 9th. Very close, too, with our birthdays. And very close as we have been since the 3rd grade of St. Thecla Elementary School in Clinton Township, Michigan.
No doubt about it, Vito. Good stuff. Very good stuff. All right, let's take a quick time out, regroup here. That was pretty funny, and we'll come back. And what do you got for us in the second half of this podcast?
We'll talk about Mike and Mike breaking up at the end of this year and much more fun stuff after this quick commercial break on episode number 21 of Two Bad Hombres.
Vito, I want to tell you about our host site, Podomatic. When Adam and I were looking to start a project, to start a podcast, we were looking for a host site to put up our audio. And so the first thing I did was I Googled how to post a podcast super easy. And the first site that popped up was Podomatic.com. And I was so thankful that we were able to use their service, and they've been so helpful to us because when you upload your audio, it's so easy. I mean, you've even done it several times for us when you've posted episodes of your podcast. Podomatic.com is a great host site. And so if you ask, well, what's a host site? It's the place where you draw your RSS feed or the feed for your podcast. And having a solid host site is really advantageous because all you do is you post your audio rather quickly, and then it goes out to the internet, and it generates links so that your friends, supporters, followers can all find it. Whether you follow us on our Twitter page, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, one universal link, we can send it to every single supporter that we have. That's why if you're going to start a brand new podcast, Doc recommends one host site, Podomatic.com.
Sit down, be humble, sit down, be humble.
And back here at episode number 21 of Two Bad Hombres, as I said before when we let off this podcast, we can now drink officially as part of this podcast with episode 21 now taking place between myself and the man, the doc, John Charles Macaroon. John, always a pleasure having you alongside me for this very podcast. And we must now delve into the topic of Mike Greenberg and Mike Golic breaking up from the Mike and Mike show that is currently in its 18th year. So it's coming to an end after this year. Going into early next year, Mike Greenberg will have his own new morning show on ESPN, while Mike Golic will realign with Trey Wingo for a new morning radio show on ESPN Radio that I've heard from Richard Deitch and the like, media reporters like Richard, that Golic, now that simulcast, which has been on ESPN2 for all these years, will now take place on ESPNU in the new year, that is 2018.
Yeah, Vito. Have you seen the reports, though, that have surfaced earlier in the week? It kind of went viral. Posts from Sports Illustrated, USA Today kind of picked up on it, that people behind the scenes of the show are saying that the environment with the two fellas, Mike Golic and Mike Greenberg, has become really toxic, and that they may not even talk to each other anymore after the show, But when I watch that show, that's an early morning show. It airs from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. nationally. I watch it, and if they don't like each other at this point in time, they look super professional because they're engaging, they're funny, they're entertaining. I know locally many people around here don't like Mike and Mike, but they've been a flagship for ESPN, like you said, for now 17 years. And locally, though, for me, it's not my A1 choice, but it just seems like every single time a radio station kind of flips formats and they go away from a local show to something national, it ends up being Mike and Mike. And you end up seeing, okay, what are these guys about? And so for me, if I want to watch a radio show on television, the first one that I saw was Mike and Mike. I will miss the show, but anything that lasts for 17 years, I mean, the writing was on the wall, Vito, when they got inducted into the National Association of Broadcasting Hall of Fame. I mean, when you're a Hall of Fame broadcaster and you've been on the air for that long together, the time has come for the show to end, and I won't really miss it all that much. I'm kind of more fascinated to talk to one of them and be like, what's the nature of the beef? Golic, are you pissed off at Greeny for leaving you high and dry and going off into television? Did he not, did he reveal the news in a way that was not appropriate? Have they done things like talk behind each other's back? Where's the animosity stemming from? I kind of want to know the dirt a little bit more, but it's a show that had its purpose, and anything at all in terms of a radio program. Hell, if you and I are still podcasting when you're 49 years old.
Please, not with you at least.
Exactly. We're going to have to switch up partners, and I'll get a much better co-host that draws more ratings.
Same here, too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Remember, Greeny did TV before, obviously did SportsCenter. Mike Golic with NFL Live with Trey Wingo. So two NFL guys joining forces for this new morning program to be simulcast on ESPNU reportedly in the new year. Greenberg getting his own show, leading his own show. Can he move the needle with his own show? Is that really going to improve the ratings in the morning for ESPN? I mean, that's the big question right now. Usually, nowadays with ESPN, ESPN2, all these different sports networks and stations, it's about polarizing figures. Guess what Greenberg's been known for? For being the opposite of that, for being vanilla with his takes. So can he really move the needle for ESPN in its morning lineup with the ratings when he's the total opposite of being polarizing. You know, he's known for his vanilla take, so his show will be vanilla take centric, right? And I guess they want to do something comparable to the Morning Joe. We know about that politically oriented show, and it's a great morning show. But the thing is, in sports, can ESPN get away with Mike Greenberg, a guy like that, leading its early morning program? I don't know if that's going to really do anything, if it's going to lead to better results than what ESPN has had already with using SportsCenter AM. And now that's shifting to ESPN2 from all reports as well in the new year. So all of this change, and I don't know if it's worth it for ESPN and its family of networks. Doc, what is your take about that, about what ESPN is doing, shifting away from SportsCenter as its signature show and going to even more debate-oriented shows? You know, with polarizing figures, as First Take has been airing on ESPN, will continue to do so. And then Bomani Jones and Pablo Torre are going to get their own show together as well from noon to 1 on ESPN. So you've got all these debate kind of, or like, you know, two personalities and shows meant for personalities and expressing their personalities. It's much more of that now on ESPN. Is that going to really move the needle more than what ESPN has had in the past with SportsCenter-centric morning lineup?
Yeah, for me, I grew up watching SportsCenter in college, having breakfast, so it was a staple with Stuart Scott, Rich Eisen. But once it kind of went to a little bit more political talk, it went away from kind of SportsCenter, and the emphasis was more on personalities. I mean, I kind of agree. I tried SportsCenter at 6 o'clock. It's just not for me. I'm just not into like interview after interview after interview at 6 o'clock. I'm more old school in that I'm not willing to transition into kind of entertainment kind of talk for sports. I like just highlights, some opinions. What I really like, I look for shows kind of like on the NFL Network. I really enjoy the entertainment there. I also really like radio broadcasts on television, and you can find it. So what I do is I tape Colin Cowherd, I tape other radio shows that are being simulcast, and then throughout the day I'll peek into them. You know, I like debate shows. I do like Around the Horn. I do like Pardon the Interruption. But for me, right now, ESPN is really just used to watch games and maybe NFL stuff. You know what I mean? For me, I don't go searching for a lot of these people. A lot of people that you just named, I don't even know.
Pablo Torre?
Don't even know.
Bomani Jones?
Don't even know.
I believe he has a radio show, The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Yeah, Bomani Jones.
A known personality, but can be a little bit polarizing.
You know what? For me, it's just me. Bomani Jones, I just know him as the sidekick on the Dan Le Batard show.
Highly questionable with Dan Le Batard and his father Gonzo.
That's how I know him.
That's all you know him as.
I don't pay attention to him.
See, he has more to himself, to his career, to who he is as a sports personality, as a writer. He's a great journalist, a very great, credible journalist. But so I guess what ESPN is trying to do is trying to fully incorporate personalities into their daytime lineup and their weekday daytime lineup. But that's not going to move the needle for you and make you watch ESPN more, huh?
If ESPN becomes a la carte, maybe during football season, I'll pay for it. But then when the season ends in football after the Super Bowl, I'd cut the cord with ESPN all the way up from February all the way up to August. I wouldn't pay for it.
You're just in it for Monday Night Football, which has horrible games. Look at the games it has. Paying all that money. People have blamed ESPN's failure of late with like the cord cutting or the layoffs. The reason for that? Well, a little bit crediting ESPN Monday Night Football. The amount of money they had to pay to get the Monday Night Football rights when they're getting lackluster games every single Monday night during the NFL season. Right. It makes no sense when you look at the money, the billions of dollars they're paying for those rights. And the games, quality of games they're getting, aren't very good at all.
Yeah, I would say on average during the week, I might watch maybe an hour to an hour and a half total. Outside of Mike and Mike, outside of maybe the occasional SportsCenter, I do like from time to time, you know, if it's late in the evening and I do know that the game is going to end. The problem is, though, with games, you never know exactly when the show is going to start. I really like Scott Van Pelt's SportsCenter at midnight. That's entertaining, but it's not much watch. For me, late night viewing involves the comedy shows, Jimmy Kimmel, other type stuff, and then I listen to podcasts.
So you think because it's conflicting with the likes of Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon with The Tonight Show, that you're not going to watch Scott Van Pelt at midnight?
No, not all the time, no. I'll just catch it from time to time, maybe once a week, if I know there's going to be a good interview or there's something really topical, maybe I want to get his take on it. But for me, I'm one of the people that ESPN has lost. So I'm not a guy that's really super invested in the content at ESPN. I just don't really find it that much entertaining to me, and I'm not really a fan anymore of it. So my sports viewing involves mostly the NFL Network, a little bit of CBS Sports Network, a little bit of NBC Sports Network, and not too much FS1 outside of Colin Cowherd, but I do kind of flick around and things like that. So ESPN, in terms of my eyes, they don't get my viewership all that much anymore.
Well, you're not in it for their studio shows. You're in it for the live sports rights, the live broadcast of games,
Exactly.
which I think many people are, and that's why they're seeing so much cord cutting. So now they're trying to change their ways with the influx of personalities. And that's why there's been so much upheaval with other personalities getting laid off that I guess didn't move the needle enough, right, with their followings, didn't get enough eyeballs on their product, on whatever show it may have been that they did on ESPN. So a lot of people had to suffer the consequences, even if they were great journalists, because they weren't moving the needle enough. And we talked a little bit about that with the mass ESPN layoffs a while back on a previous episode of Too Bad Hombres. And that's the way of television now. I mean, with sports too, you kind of have to have the personality to at least, I guess, make some strides with the ratings. But even with that, it's no foregone conclusion that you're going to draw more people in. And then, I mean, some of these personalities, such as Stephen A. Smith, maybe even Max Kellerman, are so polarizing that you want to turn off your TV, and people do. They tune out. They don't want to watch that crap because it's too much debate-centric studio programming. People can stand around the horn, as you said. PTI, that is pardon the interruption with Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. People can stand those two going at it and around the horn. And it's panelists. But it's almost when you go to the same, what's the phrase? When you go to the well too often, right, you're going to get burnt, and it burns out people because it's too much of the same thing. And they want something different, and we'll see if these changes do lead single-handedly or to a large degree to a difference in the ratings for ESPN on a daily basis as they're doing all of this, making all these swift changes because of the fact that their studio programming has been suffering in ratings. And they even changed up the 6 p.m. SportsCenter. Have you watched any of the new SportsCenter at 6 o'clock, the 6, with Michael Smith and Jamel Hill?
I'm always working. I never have really time. Or now it's 6 o'clock as we're recording this podcast, so no, I don't really get too much time to watch that show. Because
supposedly the ratings haven't really improved that much, even with the two of them now taking over that 6 p.m. SportsCenter, where you really have just conversations between the two of them. They're not formal SportsCenter anchors. You don't have as many highlights. And our SportsCenters, what they used to be known for were the highlights. They're no longer highlight-driven. They're personality-driven. And a lot of the shows, once again, the biggest reason why Mike Greenberg is getting his own show is ESPN believes that with the money they're giving him, which is like, $6.5 million a year, that he's worth having his own morning show, that he can lead a show and drive ratings big time to his show. We'll see if he's really able to move the needle. I'm going to say no. And they're going to give him more than a year leash, more than a year of proving himself with the ratings, with his own show on ESPN, which starts in 2018, because it'd be unfair to cut the cord short with him, because he's making so much money too, as it is with anybody making a lot of money. Think about the baseball players that we talk about on Tigers Talk, such as Anibal Sanchez, was just recently demoted to AAA. They gave him such a long leash because of the money that he was making. So with Greeny making all that money from his new contract, they're not going to cut the cord on that morning show experiment right away. If it's not good within a year, the ratings, they're going to have to give him another year. And same thing for Michael Smith and Jamel Hill with the 6 p.m. SportsCenter, the 6. They're going to give them another year as well to see if they can really improve the ratings for those time slots on a daily basis during the work week, Monday through Friday. And then maybe if they prove that they can't after 2.5 years or 3 years, maybe they move in a different direction. But at that point, now that they're trying this, what's the next thing for ESPN to try to improve their ratings on a daily basis? I don't know what they would turn to at that point, Doc.
Yeah.
There'd be like nothing to turn to. I mean, they'd be SOL, right? I mean, it appears they would be that.
You could always just go out and find the next hot talent and make them debate shows or maybe more.
But I mean, they've already done. What is there to do?
Yeah.
I mean, simulcasts save money, but do they really lead to huge ratings on a daily basis? Like Mike and Mike, I know it was doing really well for ESPN, being simulcast on ESPN2 for all these years. But it's being shifted to ESPNU for a reason. The ratings weren't strongly there. And now that SportsCenter is being moved to ESPN2, and the first live SportsCenter, weekday-wise, is going to air at 6 p.m. now. That's the first live SportsCenter on ESPN during the week. I mean, how about that? That tells you the change in philosophy for ESPN and its family of networks, and we'll see. I mean, what would there be to turn to next if these personality-driven shows don't work out and the huge embracing of debate? Where do they turn to next? Because as you said, it could be very well the same thing. Another hot shot, young up-and-coming personality. Well, they would have to hope on that. being the wave of the future for ESPN as a whole. And you can't guarantee any kind of success with any of these personalities. And to reiterate my point, you can't guarantee any kind of success with Mike Greenberg leading your show. And I think it's because, Doc, it comes down to this for me, he's not polarizing enough.
Like most shows, I don't think it'll gain that much traction. There's just too much. Maybe if something shocking happens, like an athlete reveals something newsworthy, or he confronts. I mean, look what really made Skip Bayless. I mean, when Richard Sherman went on there and basically told him that he was worth nothing.
He was effed up. He told him straight up without saying it that he was effed up.
That made the show.
Yeah.
I mean, once that made national news, and that's when First Take, it had been growing ever since, but the show gained traction and gained a very wide audience. So for me, it's just, I'm not going to tune into it too much. Maybe the first week I'll see what it's about to see what Mike is up to. But in terms of that, Mike and Mike had a good run. It's time for ESPN to kind of really rethink. ESPN is going to cut the fat, and they're going to trim as much as they can to become profitable as much as they can. So that's just how it is with ESPN. They're going to try to do their best year in, year out to, turn the books around.
Because they're not working in that big profit as they used to on a year-to-year basis.
Exactly.
So that's why they made those layoffs, and that's why they're making this change with their morning programming.
Exactly.
As we go to 2018, and Golic, he feels like he's been wronged because Greeny didn't inform him of his intention to shift to TV in the morning for his own show. I think he feels like, well, he should have been along for the ride. Yeah. So that's why there's that animosity and supposedly a poisonous relationship between the two where they're not even making eye contact when they're talking to each other. Like when they broke the news of their exit from Mike and Mike, I guess they weren't even making eye contact to each other. And if you listen intently to Golic's comments, you would notice there's some tension in the air that there was at the moment of that announcement that Golic doesn't like something about Greeny. I think it's more of that. I think Greeny's all right, can deal with Golic, but I think Golic, man, it's a little bit icy there.
Okay.
I'll just say that. Some tension, like you said. It's leading to, hopefully not an ugly exit for a long tenured show. That's just the thing we have to hope for.
It was a good run, and they're Hall of Fame broadcasters, and it is what it is. So, hey.
It is what it is. I love how you said that. Like Sean Belizean had that show, It Is What It Is.
Real quickly, did you hear the story? It was fascinating. From time to time, you just read across Yahoo, and you read across some things that come across as funny. And the issue would be supplementing your income. Okay, everybody out there in this world is looking to make as much money as humanly possible, right? You are. Look, you write for several blogs, you contribute to the Free Press, you do work here on the podcast network, you do a bunch of different work to supplement your income. Now, what you do maybe privately in terms of supplementing your income, we don't talk about that in terms of, the places you go and the hotels and things you frequent.
Yeah, we can't at least right now.
We can't talk about that right now. The clubs in Canada that call you up every time you're in here recording, we can't talk about that. I don't pay attention to what you do as a moonlighter. You know what I mean? I don't pay attention to that. But I came across a story where a teacher, out there in Connecticut was kind of admonished. And she got in trouble because she's a teacher, a well-respected teacher, and it was discovered that she was posting things on her social media regarding the sale of like sex toys. And so she was supplementing her income through a sex toy business. And so she kind of caught a bunch of heat in that, she was trying to make a living. And as you know, most teachers' entry-level salary is around $40,000 to $50,000. But
it's not much. It might not even be that. It's like, it's pennies.
It's not that much.
Cheap pay, like 25, maybe. It's not much. You're right.
Maybe I'm thinking with a master's degree. Exactly. You need one, nowadays to be a teacher. But she got in trouble, and she was, selling sex toys for extra income. But the part that kind of got to me was, and when I was thinking about it, I don't judge her for doing that. In this country, everybody's capitalistic. Everybody's striving to make as much money as possible in order to provide for their family, provide for their needs and stuff like that. Because if you have kids, their activities that they engage in is expensive. Like my kids do swim, they do dance, they're involved in, preschool that has, fees and stuff like that. When you send your kid to when you send your kid to a Catholic school for preschool, it costs money. And so you go, oh boy, this stuff adds up. Luckily for me, so far so good, I'm making ends meet with the contributions of myself and my wife. But the part that is wrong is you got to keep it a secret. You can't post these kind of things via your social media platform. This is where people are getting in trouble, Vito, is social media. You got to start a private website. You got to have maybe a partner that is the public face of this operation, right? You can't just, if you're a teacher, you have to have some self-awareness that you can't go on your social media, especially if people are going to see it. There's no way for you as a teacher to not have maybe a couple students, follow you, or parents or administrators. So for the teacher to kind of be doing this, I don't blame her for trying to supplement her income. I just say that you got to find a way to keep it off of social media.
Well, how stupid do you have to be? How old of a lady is this? I mean, you know this at 18 or 20, you don't share that kind of info via social media. Why would you share that with the public when you have the job of a teacher? Especially in any job, any profession. Could you and I do that? If we were doing that on the side to make some money, hard economic times, my man, right? I mean, we all have to make ends meet, like you said. But the thing is, to make ends meet that way is still a little bit sad, shoddy of her and her character as a person. But we can't truly go in depth here and judge her for that and attack her for it. But we can attack her, and I think rightfully so, for being stupid enough to post it or to have it out there to the masses, to have it be able to be revealed to the public eye, which could cost you your job. You know, any sort of public consumption of you selling sex toys, what is that normally going to lead to? You being dismissed from a job. I mean, that's where common sense has to kick in, that you can't be doing this publicly. I mean, how difficult is it to perceive that it's wrong to, have a website or have an affiliation, you said, right, Doc, with the site that's selling the sex toys? It's just stupidity at the highest level, in my opinion.
Yep, here's the quote from the article. A teacher at Thompson Brook School has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of an investigation into a complaint raised by community members. The complaint alleges that this teacher is a consultant for a company called Pure Romance. The complaint further alleges that the teacher has a website affiliated with this business, which the complaints believe to be inconsistent with the teacher's role as a teacher for the Avon Public Schools. So she's posting and trying to get business that, that she's a consultant for this sex toy business. And if you look at it, some women do these things where they go out and they host these sex toy parties.
They do so, but they're not teachers, right? Generally speaking.
Right.
Or they don't allow it to be revealed to the public with the website touting it, right?
Exactly. Here's the policy. Employees are required to use appropriately respectful speech in their personal social media posts and to refrain from harassing, defamatory, abusive, discriminatory, threatening, or other inappropriate communications. That's in the behavior policy that these schools have. See, it's in a policy. You can't do these kind of things where you sign a contract that says you're going to behave a certain kind of way. Now, myself, I'm a business owner, I'm a psychologist, but if it came out that I was doing those kind of things, it would be obvious that I would probably lose business and I would lose the faith of the community. So you can't be doing these kind of things, right, Vito?
Well, if it's in the language of your contract. Now, we don't have contracts made up, so we can do whatever we want on the side. I'm selling sex toys all the time, man, making some big bucks. I can say that much. But there are some morals and values involved with teaching, too, being inside a classroom with people's kids. And when you're selling sex toys on the side, it looks bad. It's a bad look for a teacher that's dealing with kids, right? I mean, when you're dealing with kids, anything, when kids are involved with anything, you have to kind of adhere to a certain code, a certain policy, and it's right there in the contract. Now, I guess it would fall. What she's doing.
She's a sixth grade teacher.
So young kids, these kids are impressionable, and they're learning about this probably through looking at her website, learning something else about this teacher that they shouldn't be finding out from her. You can find out whatever the subject is that she's teaching, how to write, how to do math. You can find that out and learn that from her. You shouldn't be learning about sex toys from her. You can make your debut with sex toys or learn about them through someone or something else, please.
In this day and age, once someone found out, 11, 12-year-olds are trying to maybe figure out if they can, have some fun with the teacher too. You never know.
Well, they're trying to figure out now probably how can I get my hand on these sex toys and maybe use them with my teacher or through the help of my teacher. Well, they probably need help in something else in a subject in the classroom with that very teacher. That's where it looks really bad.
And Vito, you got to maintain a high-quality reputation when you're doing work as a teacher. So it's just one of those things. You can't make that decision. You can't make the decision to sell sex toys if you're a teacher, especially in a public school setting. You can't.
Her reputation might have been tarnished. Went down the tubes big time. Now, a lesson we learned from that is what? Not to go public with something, when you're selling sex toys at least.
Exactly.
Don't have a public affiliation to it at least.
And if you think about it, if you're really good at selling sex toys, quit being a teacher. Just commit to it full time.
You're good at it, baby. Perfect it and go pro in it.
Go pro.
People go pro in so many things. You can go pro in selling sex toys nowadays, I would believe as well.
Exactly.
Now, one other thing really quick to leave you guys and you, Doc, with this. Another thing I learned is that sea lions, you don't want to feed sea lions and have your kid be sitting right by the water where there could be a sea lion or another animal that comes out of the water and takes your kid underneath the water with it.
Tell me about the whole story because I didn't click on the link. I just saw it and I was like, oh, I don't know if my stomach can handle seeing a sea lion attack a kid. What happened?
A little girl, a tiny girl, must have been 10 or under, was sitting on a bench, it looked like, and the sea lion just came out of nowhere and pulled her, yanked her by her dress and pulled her in the water. Luckily, an older man, probably somebody related to her, perhaps her grandpa, or I think her grandfather, dove in to save her. But think about it. That's why you don't feed these creatures of the sea. You don't get close enough to feed them, to be in, just in very close distance. You should be 100 yards from these animals. You can look at them, but you can't go over there, try to pet them, try to feed them. I know one thing, it taught me that. I would never even entertain the idea of going close enough to an animal that could take me underneath the water with it, because I can't swim. I'd be drowning, okay? There'd be no coming out of the water for me. I know that much. And you never know. What if the parent or the grandparent wasn't looking at their kid? What if what if that person didn't realize that the girl was taken underneath the water with that animal? What if he was distracted by something else, was looking the complete opposite way? That girl would have drowned, would have died. And that's because of the fact that she was way too close to the water to start off, being on this bench right by the water. And now that's an odd occurrence. It's not going to happen frequently to others either. But the thing is, it should teach everybody to keep your distance from these animals.
Well said, Vito. Now, in future episodes, because we didn't get to it this week, we got to talk about the events that happened in Manchester regarding the bombing at an Ariana Grande concert. It's a really interesting story, and again, it is an act of terrorism. Now, we're not going to get to it this episode, but in future episodes, we got to talk about whether or not, when the story kind of takes shape and we get more information, because at the time of this recording, the events just happened, so we got to kind of gather some more information regarding who did it, who planned this out, and things like that. But I'm curious to get your take on things in the upcoming weeks regarding if this event will make you be more cautious going out socially, being the social butterfly that you are, whether, going to sporting events, whether it be Comerica, Ford Field, maybe the new Little Caesars Arena. Is that going to be something where you're going to be more cautious or a little bit more fearful, because that's what they're trying to do? It hasn't happened yet at a major sporting event here in the States, but I'm interested to have the talk with you regarding, is the threat of terrorist attacks maybe keeping you from some future sporting events? But we'll have that talk in future weeks. I really enjoyed this conversation. Almost lost my voice here, kind of sharing some laughs and some stories with you. It was a good hour.
And Doc, thank you much for all your time on episode number 21 of Two Bad Hombres. Thanks to all of you guys listening in, and tune into next weekend's edition as well, which will be episode 22 of the podcast. Thank you much, guys. Adios.
And if you don't already know, go to VitoChurcoSexDepot.com for all your latest sex toy needs.
That's the best site to find me at, baby. And we'll leave you with that. We're acting as Two Bad Hombres as we leave you with this edition of Two Bad Hombres. Adios.
I was trying to get it out here. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't care.